Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. There's a beautiful backdrop back there that is completely blown out. It's blown out. Anyway, hey, look. Hey, look, it's Dumbo. It's a 3D printable Dumbo. Or is it that I am the Dumbo professor? The Dumbo professor is here. Oh, fun times, fun times. Fun times, guys, fun times. It's a beautiful day again. It is early today. Today I did not stop to watch Stop, Drop, and Roll. No, I did not stop to watch some fun stuff on the YouTube. I'm right here ready to go for another one of those ridiculous episodes that I do. But anyway, before we start, I thought, I'm gonna start with this book, which is really cool, and then we're gonna go into this book, also really cool. But before I do, I thought, because maybe I was thinking maybe I just wasn't explaining it right. Maybe I just wasn't explaining it right about the cool factor of this kind of thing here. Maybe I just wasn't explaining it right. So these things are cool because the idea is that you can take your WL Toys cars such as these, or your mini Z's like these, right? Something like that. And then you can take off the shell. You can take off the shell of this thing here and maybe put something on like this, or even just 3D print it larger and just stick it over the top. I don't know. It's almost as cool as double masking. I don't get why people don't like it. I just don't. They love double masking, so this should be pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? This should be pretty cool. The idea that you can 3D print shells like this and you can swap them out. So let's say you did buy yourself a really cool WL Toys and you got bored of the body that came with it. I mean, they have this kind and they have the Porsche looking one, which is pretty cool. They have a lot of really cool ones for the mini Z's. But what if you wanted to have your very own custom, or you wanted to buy a present for your friends or something, and you didn't want it to look like everyone else's? You could 3D print one of these cool things off of CJ Trader, like what I did, and then stick it on top, and then give them this. And this is something unique that you can't buy anywhere else. For instance, the problem. The problem is that I tried to do this all by myself, and being that I'm not apparently very good at convincing people to give me money, eventually the things dried up. The money from the investors dried up, and that is always the issue, right? Although the idea was pretty cool that I wanted to do, because the algorithms on YouTube and stuff didn't help inspire anybody with the purchasing power to come in and help out with these projects. This is why now I talk about these things all the time on live streams, because it's a little bit less difficult for them to do stuff. At least if you see the live, the algorithm isn't as mean, apparently, for the people that show up. And these days it's funny, right? Because you look at the stats on the thing, and usually it says 0 over there on YouTube, but then later at the end of the show, you see 6. So I don't know what that means, but anyway, I don't know what that means. YouTube algorithm of death. I think we've been stuck now for over a month. Is it over a month? Almost 2 months, maybe, at 1,550 subscribers. It's pretty interesting how that all worked out. Everything went south after I went to New York. I went to New York, came back, and now the stats for the subscribers is just it's ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, was this not exciting? I mean, I understand that it's not exciting to want to teach kids how to drive properly and park properly, like early on, so then by the time they actually need to take tests to get their driver's permits and stuff, that they're already really capable at it. I know that's unpopular. I know that teaching Tai Chi and anger management in schools and stuff like that is really unpopular. And like furthering stuff like, imagine if all the kids had Tai Chi lessons at some places in Asia have that, and it helps cool down the kids and stuff. But it's all unpopular. It's all unpopular for some reason. Maybe it's because I talk about it. If I talk about it, it's unpopular. So then, like I've created all these things, again, with a collaboration of a lot of other artists. I thought this would be a cool project, something that the RC hobbyists might be interested in. How many comments do I get on the YouTube of people who have 3D printers? Like I would love to do like a collaboration with companies such as, like DroneWorks or, someone as smart and as cool and as good at 3D printing, such as Original Dobo, for instance. Like I would jump on that right away to get some of these things out there. Again, I don't even need to make money off of it. I just think that this is a really cool project that has just been left in the dust, in the dirt. Again, how unpopular and how uncool is it that you can just take off a shell, let's say take off a shell off of WL Toys, and I'll probably lose the clips now. And that will be popular because when people watch me fail at stuff, that is very popular. I've seen that over and over again. In fact, I get more people joining up live streams and stuff when I destroy things, when I break stuff. That's really popular. But when I come up with cool ideas, and again I came up with this cool idea here, it was like, I don't know. I was graduating from university when I came up with this concept. I didn't have a 3D printer yet. 3D printers weren't really around yet. But by the time 3D printers became popular, that's the first thing that I did with a 3D printer is I was trying to create 3D models to 3D print for this. How many years ago was that? I don't know, a long time. A long time. How cool would it be if you could do this? Right? I mean, it's not perfect the way that it is now, but I'm just showing you. This was designed specifically. This one and the other one were designed specifically with the proportions for the Walmart models, the new Bright models. So again, you could adjust them. You could adjust them for different kinds of cars and stuff. It's not really that difficult. It's not rocket science. I could totally do it. Someone else could totally do it. No problem. But what gets to me is how unpopular all my ideas are for some reason. Just so long as I am somehow involved with the thing, it just tanks. So anyway, interesting life facts. Anyway, you know what? Guess what? Let's just put it out there. If Elon Musk or Zuckerberg wanted to jump on this 3D printing train with these cool models, and wanted to, like, I don't know, promote them in any way. Hey Elon, we're already working together on the wet dog perfume. Hey, you want to jump on this project together too? Maybe it could be like a way to get more people onto Twitter. For a short, limited time, if you get an account on Twitter, you get a free 3D printable RC body for your mini Z's. Hey, that could be a winning combination. You could get more people on the Twitter, or for WL Toys or New Brights. Hey, these are already prepared and ready for New Brights. You could say you could get yours at Walmart. Hey, Elon. Come on, man. Oh, can we go back to the days when it was all about Neuralink, the boring company making, was it blowtorches? No, not blowtorches. Flamethrowers. Flamethrowers that were not flamethrowers. I guess nobody knows about that either. Anyway, so, and then, can we go back to Mars? I don't go back to Mars. I want to go to Mars. I don't know about you guys. I can't get on a kiddie ride like Universal Studios. I got so sick because I went on the Harry Potter ride. it actually doesn't actually go anywhere. It's basically lifts you up, and then it starts spinning your bowels around. And then the visuals are great, but I just, I was like, one time is enough, but then I decided to go on there twice. Somebody convinced me to go on there a second time. That did not go well. Oh, all right. So anyway, chapter 7, guys. Here we go. Chapter 7. Let's go. And when I start talking about chapter 7, that's when everybody leaves. That's like technology. That gives me motion sickness. Technology. Walking humanoid robot 17 DOF. Once again, we will be using the homemade breastplate. That's popular. Breastplates. We like those. But it is functionally the same as the one that is made out of several parts. This robot features 4 servos per leg. I think that 4 servos per leg is all that is needed. Yeah, I don't think so. But for the simple project, sure. For the simple project, sure. 4 servos is all you're gonna need. For the really simple projects, 2 servos is all you need. Anyway, some designs have 5 servos per leg. That limited number of servos, when combined with the arms, exceeds the limits of the using 12 Arduino digital pins for controlling the servos. That's true. A lot of people, they just focus on getting robots that do one thing well. For instance, you'll get one project that is all about the legs, and one project that is all about the arms. So you get these robots. They'll have really cool, well put together arms, and then they'll just sit it on some like a remote control car thingy. And then it will move around like a remote control car, or it'll slide around like some of those with those strange drift wheels. It looks like one wheel, but it's got a bunch of different spokes, and the spokes move around, and it allows the car to drift. It's pretty interesting stuff. It's wild. Ooh, just spotted a bunny. It wasn't a squirrel this time. Got distracted by a bunny. Anyway, pretty cool stuff. And then you have the other ones that are very complicated, and they'll have like a really simplified upper body of the robot, but the legs are very fancy, and they have like, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe up to 8 servos, and it's really, really good. But then the top doesn't do much. Again, you gotta think about weight management. You got batteries that go in there. You've got electronics to run everything, like the brains of the computer and stuff. So at a certain point, something breaks. If your overall robot is over a certain weight, then it makes it hard for the servos to do their jobs. So anyway, this new for this project are some real hands. There are hands available in metal and plastic. There are hands available that take a dual-ended servo and ones that take a normal servo. There are lots of options to choose from. I decided to try both a plastic and metal hand that take normal servos. Then I also will show a possible hand made with ordinary brackets. The plastic hands require the use of a mini servo. However, they included the servo with the kits. The plastic parts came covered in brown paper that had to be removed. The instructions were entirely in Chinese. No surprise there. You can use the numbers in the instructions to guess what size of screw and what size of spacer goes where. Coming up is a picture of the various parts that came in the kit to make the hands. In the plastic bag of screws, there are 2 different lengths of spacers. According to the instructions, the longer spacers go towards the top of the hands. I'm going to show you pictures for this. It's pretty cool. There you go. I do believe these are plastic ones. There are a couple of bits and pieces in the second picture that may be metal. And the screws and spacers do look to be metal, which is a good idea because that's usually the best combination. A little bit of metal and a little bit of plastic so that you can figure out the best way to keep things sturdy but also light. So it says, this is what an assembled plastic hand looks like. And it shows you what it looks like in the picture right here, in this one here, this is the one that is assembled. The one on top is not assembled. Attaching the plastic hands to the arms turned out to be a little tricky. Had to file the holes in the new hand brackets to slightly increase their spacing to match the spacing of the holes in the servo mounting bracket. So they were too tight. He had to file them a little bit so that they could fit, but tighter is better, because if you have them wider, then you need to create something, add like rubber, or add like blue tack or something to decrease the space, and then it doesn't really work that well. So it's sometimes it's just better to have it tighter so that you can file it to the size that you need it to be. Also, since the hands are identical, in order to make them right and left, I had to use different mounting holes. One hand was mounted using 2 holes ends, and the other hand used 3rd and 4th holes. It was also a little tricky to get the hands gears to clear the perpendicular portion of the servo mounting holes. The metal hands did not come with a servo, however they fit a standard size servo. The alignment is a bit rough, as the height of the servo does not line up perfectly with the adjacent gear. Also, the gears mesh together a little bit too tight. Here is a picture showing the metal hands with a front and back view. So I'm going to show you that real quick. And these are not the same ones that I got in my kit. They look a little bit better than the ones that I got in my kit. The ones that came in my kit were really heavy, really heavy. These look a little bit lighter and thinner, which is probably better for your build than what I had. It says, last of all, you might want to make your own hand. Sure, if you're hey, that's where 3D printing comes in. If you're good at 3D printing, you can make your own hand. Or if you're not good at 3D printer and you have one of those metal cutters or wooden cutters, you can make it out of wood or something. Or you could just grab a saw. Not advocating for that, because that's dangerous. I could, but I don't know if other kids could. So kids, don't try that at home. Maybe just buy the parts. It's probably safer. Last of all, as I said before, you can make your own hand. It takes a few brackets to make one, but it might do if you do not have anything else to use. Here's a picture of a homemade hand next to a metal hand. The homemade hand would look neater if one of the straight brackets were replaced with a bracket that looks like 4 fingers. Basically, you will need a servo bracket, a 90-degree bracket, and 2 straight brackets to make a simple hand. I'll take his word for it. For this robot, we are also adding another servo in the legs. It gives the hips a right-left movement, as well as already existing front-to-back hip movement. I also used 2 of the long U brackets for the middle part of the legs. I was trying to make him as tall as possible so that his new hands would not drag on the ground when he walks. Here's a picture of the new legs showing both a back view and a front view. You might notice the strips or stripes on the new MG958 servos. So this is something that I already explained the other day. And I guess that because he had the same kit that I bought, he noticed the same issue that I had, which is the legs are too short. And so therefore it's like we had talked about this, but we didn't. We just basically had the same kit and realized the same issues with it. When you buy this, and I bought this off of eBay, but you can buy it in some other places, you'll find the kit has short legs and the arms are extra long, so they drag on the floor. Again, serendipity, right? Serendipity there. I also changed the chest design for the robot. I added another waist piece to it to make it about an inch taller. It is still functionally the same as the multi-bracket chest, but with a second waist piece. You could get similar results by mounting the shoulder servo brackets a little higher on the angle brackets and by adding some 1-inch spacers to make the head a little higher. To attach the metal hands, you will need to add 2 L-shaped metal angle brackets. And he says, I had to run, so I made 2 of some aluminum angle pieces about 1 inch long. I prefer the metal hands over the plastic ones as they look a little tougher. This next picture shows the new arms with his metal hands attached and ready to be used to make 17 DOF humanoid robot. It really depends on what you're trying to do with your robot and what kind of sensitivity you're going for. A metallic hand may be great for picking up certain things that require a strong grip, but if you're trying to pick up something that is like a glass and you need some kind of sensitivity, you probably want to rubberize the internals of, and possibly use a plastic one to give it more grip, but also a little bit more leeway and pliability, or like flexibility, so that it does not destroy your glass when you're trying to grab onto it, right? That's going to be requiring more finesse. Some of the better Boston Dynamics robots are able to pick up a glass and not shatter it, for instance, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So then this is the picture of the robot here without arms. It is just the head and the servos, the main servos for the shoulders and the hips right there. It says to attach the metal hands, you will need a two-handed. Okay, we read that already. So I'm going to show you this bit here where the arms are right here. And I'll lift it up so you guys can see some of the other stuff that he talks about there. So he talks about, here is a 17 DOF robot parts list. You need 16 multifunctional servo mounting brackets, 6 short U-type servo brackets, 4 long U-type servo brackets, 2 angled U-type servo brackets, 0 flat servo brackets, L-type servo brackets, 6 L-type servo brackets, 1 robot waist bracket, 1 robot chest bracket, or a set of 4 brackets, 2 foot base, 16 miniature ball radial bearings, 17 metal servo horn flanges, lots of screws and nuts. Again, not a fan of him not telling you how many you need. 9 times 120 ounces, inches, MG995 or MG996 servos, 8 times 220 ounces, inches, MG958 servos for the legs, 2 times robot hands, Arduino Uno, and servo shield. Excuse me. The next picture is front view of the assembled 17 DOF humanoid robot configuration. So let's take a look at that. It looks pretty cool. Look at that. That definitely looks pretty cool. Almost as cool as my robot that I disassembled so that my friend Steve could create a really fantastic robot spider. We may see it in maybe 5 or 10 years, but I know it's going to good use because I'm not using it, right? Like let's say this, right? If I give it to a company such as SpaceX, they could do something cool with this technology. If I gave this to a company such as Toyota, they would be able to find the funding and stuff to get this running. But because I did, no, people don't like giving me money. They don't. And I am like Mike Delfino. I'll just go out there and I will fix your toilet for free. And then I need someone like Susan. I need someone like Susan Delfino to come and get the money off of you, because I'm just not good at asking for money. This next picture is of the back view of the assembled robot. The Arduino Uno has been mounted in place for this picture. I used 3 short plastic spacers between the metal and the Arduino. Only 1 spacer lined up with an existing screw. The other 2 spacers are just glued in place. 2 of the servos needed 4-inch extensions to reach the servo shield. Okay, here we go. Take a quick look at what the robot looks like. Again, this is weird because it jumps from one picture to another. This looks nothing like the other robot that he's built, but this is more like the kit that you see here in the main picture there. So I don't know. He should have hired a continuity artist to help him keep his stuff looking continuously, you know. Anyway, Here is a picture of the back of an earlier version with added text showing the number of servos. This is so that you know how to connect the servo motors. Servo 1 goes to D2, and that is the third servo connector from the bottom on the servo shield. It is best not to use D0 and D1 as they are used to talk to Arduino to update software. If you connect a servo to D0 or D1, the servo will go through some strange contortions when the Arduino is being updated. Servo 13, 16, and the head servo 17 go to analog 0, D14, through analog 5 and D18. I wonder if that was going on when I was trying to build the Plen 2, the aftermarket or like knockoff version of Plen 2, the Japanese version. Whenever I tried to set up the motherboard before it started doing anything, it would sequence through a thing and then it would start wigging out and one of the legs would pop out. It would try to do a moonwalk, but very poorly, and so then it would just, collapse on itself. It says, it shows you here that the shoulders are servos 12 and 16. Then the next servo down will be 11 and 15. Then what is supposed to be the elbow joint would be servo 10 and 14, but that's not really what that is, I don't think. I think that's more of a wrist. And then you have the servo 13 and the servo 9 for the clamps, like lobsters and crabs. I should know I'm a Cancer sign, not a popular sign. People don't like Cancers. Servo 4 and servo 8 are for the hips. Then you've got servo 3 and servo 7 for, I would say it's supposed to be like another one for the hips. And then you've got the servo 2 and servo 6, which should be knee joints. And servo 1 and servo 5 is going to be the ankle joint. Again, different interpretations. You might have a different interpretation when you look at that, but that's how I see it. The robot may need to be supported by a strap going up to the ceiling to keep him from falling over when you turn him on. I have become used to grabbing him when I do a software update. Yeah, in some cases I have noticed this as well. The robot will just topple over. Again, that's probably the same thing that was going on with Plen 2, and I was having the same issue, but then it would disconnect from the app that it was supposed to be running off of, which was a real pain. So it says, once you update the arms, legs, chest, the next step is to calibrate the servos and then to put him back together again. Oh, isn't it fun? Isn't it fun with all these robot programs, with all these robot kits? They're all Humpty Dumptys. You always have to put them back together again. With this project, we are now way past the 12 servo limits. I decided to use the servo software. Or you could just get a servo shield that has, there's some that have more than 12 applications, so you don't have to do this. But I guess you wanted to go on the cheaply, or you can't go freemium on this stuff. You actually have to buy it. You have to use your purchasing dollars. You have to be one of those hot-blooded conservatives with plenty of cash at hand. Forget about it. Hey, anyway, if you're one of those hot-blooded conservatives and you want to throw a dollar at me, I will take that money. If you're one of those amazing blue hairs, let's go out on a date. No, I'm just kidding. Throw a dollar at me. Throw a dollar at me too. I like you too. I'll take your money. Anyway, anyone else? Anywhere in between? You like my comedy? Throw a dollar at me. I'm not good at asking for money. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I mean, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna 3D print, or I'm gonna print out a sheet, and then at the end of every show, I'll just put the thing out there, so I don't have to do the spiel every time. Just throw a dollar at me. I will take your money. I am not afraid to take your money. I'm just not good at asking for it. Oh, dang. 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 Option is as modification to servo H is not an authorized change. However, servo software changed the 90-degree position of all servos by about 2 or 3 degrees. Also, you cannot use any delays or the servos will shut down. So I went back to using servo, but with the modification to servo.h is covered in previous chapter that allows for more than 12 servos per timer. Okay, he's just bragging about his amazing way to make it so that you don't need to have a servo board or whatever, a servo shield that requires more than 12. He is a genius, so I'm gonna pat him on the back. What's his name again? Robert J. Davis II. Jeez Louise. Anyway, he goes through the whole list. I'm not gonna read it to you guys. I used to humiliate myself by trying to read this stuff to you guys. I'm just gonna show you. You can read it to yourselves. You can do some work. Do some work. Stop asking for all the spoon feeding. Stop asking for all that spoon feeding. You're probably an adult. You're probably an adult or a very intelligent kid. You can read this to yourself. You don't have to make me humiliate myself trying to read it. I'm gonna have to end up going back to speech lessons, and that was not fun. That was not fun. Lots of years of speech lessons. Let's go. Let's go. It was always humiliating being at the back of a class. It didn't matter if it was a French study class, if it was an Italian study class, if it was history, if it was whenever the teacher called up on me and said, "It is now your turn, Marco. Marco, it is now your turn to read." Fun times. Fun times those were. Those were fun times. Because, back then, I wanted to be perfect, like the other kids. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be able to enunciate all the words and not stutter and just do it like the other kids. But that was not for me. Anyway, chapter 8, guys. Chapter 8. You guys know how much I love 8. I love 4. But every time I say 4, I get something, but usually it's forgotten, so I don't know. Anywho, I bet you voted on Prop 69. I bet you voted on Prop 69. Hey, guess what you get to do? Guess what you get to do once you become an American citizen? They call you for jury duty. Jury duty, that's fun. Just that's fun. Hey, let's put some bets down. Let's put some bets down. How much do you want to bet I get disqualified from jury duty? Let's put some bets down. Let's put some bets down. I get disqualified from pretty much everything. What are the bets? Put it in the comments below this video or any other video. I will accept comments on every possible video. Actually, go through all the videos and drop some comments on all the videos. How much you want to bet I get disqualified from jury duty? Hey, I want to do my part. But how much you bet? How much you want to bet I get disqualified? I'm going to fit some kind of funny, I've got a certain quality, and I'm going to get disqualified. I bet you I get disqualified from jury duty. Anyway, Chapter 8, Walking Dog Robots. We love our dogs. We love our pets. And right now, I just got distracted by another one because there's a cute doggy just walking by. There's always cute doggies walking by because this is Irvine, California, Woodbridge, the place where dogs love to come to do their duty. All right, so this next project is to make a 4-legged walking robot or a dog. You could also call it a horse. Why not? It's a dog. Why not call it a horse? I don't know. These are modern times. Why not call it a tiger or a cheetah? I don't know. Getting it to walk is not as easy as it seems. I never thought it was. Never thought it was going to be. Sometimes one of the legs will not even touch the ground. That has an effect on the amount of movement that leg can create. Okay, so we've got problems with technology. So sometimes the legs will not be able to touch the ground on a specific height or whatever is what he's trying to say. I could tell you guys that that's true because I used to animate quadrupeds. I used to animate quadrupeds in 3D. I did a really fun robot. I think it was something like a robot tiger animation, that a walk and a run and stuff. It was really fun for an awesome program, for a awesome TV series that was supposed to come out called Reprogrammed. It was awesome. It was by one of my good friends, Brandon Chappell. Awesome guy. So yeah, I was graduating from the Academy of Art University, and this is one of the cool guys that I got to meet in the computer labs. And so he was like, hey, why don't you do some animation for our company? And I said, yes, let's do it. Fun guy, good guy. And so, yeah, and I was doing lots of animations back in the day. I did horses and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, and a wolf too. So yeah, I can totally agree with this. It is not easy to do dog walks and quadrupeds and stuff. The dog body is 7.5 inches long. It had to be long so that its legs do not hit each other. It can be made with 4 waist brackets or 2 waist brackets and the homemade chest. I used 4 of the straight brackets to space the back 2 waist brackets further apart. The neck is made out of 2 of the angled U-shaped brackets that moves the head both out and up at the same time. The head is a hand turned sideways. A L-shaped bracket would have been ideal, but I had to use, he had used all of his, 4 of his, so then he had to use something else. I used the hardware store L bracket instead. The legs are made about the same way as for the 13 DOF human butt. The ankles are turned the other way. Yeah, that's one of the funny things about quadrupeds. Their ankles are turned the other way. And sometimes I think in some cases the knee may be turned the other way too. Don't quote me on that, but I think that is something that is realistically true. This then makes it easier to lift a foot straight up. I had to remove his feet as there was not enough room for them as they actually hit each other front to back. He also had he had no need for those large feet as he is 4-legged. Here is a close-up picture of his back legs showing how they go together. So I'm going to show you this real quick. And it does and will look a little different. There you go, right here. Than it did before. And here's another example right here. So to make a dog, it's a little different from that humanoid robot that we saw before, which is on the back there. Very true. So he says, this is a picture of the completed robot dog. And I've showed you that before. This picture of the dog robot has the servo number labeled. So unfortunately, this is a bit of a problem because he's showing you this from a side view instead of a 3/4 view and stuff. So it's not that easy to see which leg is what, but we could guesstimate it. For some reason, there is a servo 14 that looks like to be a tail for the robot. You've got servo 3, and that would be the left hip. Servo 6 would be the right hip. Good chances that I'm going to get this wrong, but servo 2 would be the left knee. Servo 5 would be the right knee. Servo 1 would be the left ankle, and servo 4 would be the right ankle. And this is for the hind legs or the back legs. Are the back legs hind legs? Anyway. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. In the front, you're going to have the servo 13 is for the mouth. You're going to have the servo 9 is going to be the left shoulder. Servo 12 is going to be the right shoulder. Servo 8 is going to be the left knee. Servo 11 is going to be the right knee. Servo 7 is going to be the left ankle. And servo 10 is going to be the right ankle. Anyway, lots of stuff going on in this picture right here. If I got that wrong, don't sue me. Don't sue me. Or if you want, you can, but I'm bankrupt, so I'm basically poor. So it won't matter. You won't get a cent out of me. 12X, multifunctional servo, as in 12 multifunctional servo mounting brackets. 8 short U-type servo brackets. 4 long U-type servo brackets. 2 angled U-type servo brackets. 4 flat servo brackets. 5 L-type servo brackets. 2 robot waist brackets. 1 robot chest bracket, or a set of 2 waist brackets. You can flip those around, flip a coin, figure out which one you want to use. 0 foot base, or you can make smaller ones. Not sure why he even includes that, but fine, sure. More information is better information. 12 miniature ball radial bearings. 13 metal servo horn flanges. Lots of screws and nuts. You can't go without screws and nuts. 13 MG995 or MG996 servos. 1 robot hand, as had Arduino Uno and servo shield. Of course, you're going to need those. And then he's going to brag about how amazing his servo shield is. It only takes 12, but he gets 13 done. I'm kidding. Come up next is the code to make the dog work. He has F for forward, B for back, right for right leg, L for left, and S for sit as the commands. We are now using 12 by 12 arrays to run 12 servos through 12 steps. The array for sitting has 2 more servos added for the head and tail. I will not be reading all of this beautiful squiggles. Get yourself some access to some hieroglyphics right here. It's not as cool. It's not as cool as when I write. My hieroglyphics are cooler because you actually have to decipher. When I write, you have to decipher my hieroglyphics. I feel a little bit sorry for all my English, French, and all the teachers that had to decipher my hieroglyphics. I did try my best, but my writing was just about as bad as most doctors' writing. And then that's kind of stereotyping. Not all doctors have horrible handwriting, but some of them do. That's where the stereotype comes from. In my case, it's not a stereotype. It's true. My handwriting is terrible. It truly is. It is the worst. It is the worst handwriting. Although I did take some calligraphy classes. That's it. Miss Braithwaite. Anyway, I had some amazing English teachers, girls and boys. So I'm proud of that. They did a good job. I was an awful student, but I tried my best. We are at chapter 9. Chapter 9, guys, come on. Chapter 9 and chapter 10 is the last one. We might be able to finish it all today. I am planning to do a giveaway. It won't be amazing stuff. It might just be 3D printed parts and some treads from a tank and 1 helicopter. So again, it's going to be like that usual thing where I drop it off at the usual spot, and then whoever wants to go pick it up, they can. If you tend to be like one of those really greedy human beings, you'll probably take up all 3 of the projects all for yourself. And if you're not, then it'll just be one person, which is the goal. But people. Again, not judging. Some people might want to take them all for themselves. That's fine. That's fine too. Humanity. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. So I'm gonna tell you what the purpose is. Then people will do what they want. All right. So the dinosaur robot is the dinosaur robot is the dog robot with a long tail attached. Maybe that's why he had a servo for the tail. Just like in the humanoid robots, this project builds on the previous project. Wow, that's very surprising. I did not have any more straight brackets, so I used some metal hardware like what you find at the hardware store. Man, this guy's just as thrifty as me. He's as thrifty as me. He'll just grab a bunch of bottles and recycled stuff, and then he'll build planes out of it. I guess that's what dorks do. that's what dorks do. They can't afford all the parts that they need, so they just, hey, look, let's recycle that bit and that bit, and then it'll work amazing. All right, so then because of a servo shortage, there is at least one high-tech HS 422 servo used in the tail. Use it wisely. Use it sporadically. Use it with caution. These servos come with a plastic horn and do not fit the metal horns. The plastic horns have smaller holes in them, so you will have to use smaller screws to fasten the U-shaped brackets to the horns. It's one horny robot. Oh, I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. I just couldn't help myself. The long tail will also require some servo-capable extensions. I made 3 of the extension cables, but one was only about 3 inches long. He got the short end. The other 2 cables were about 10 inches long. Impressive. 2 of the extensions were made out of servo cables taken from some burned up servos. Here's a close-up picture of the long dinosaur tail. I also sanded and painted the moving parts of his mouth black. Cool. The clear plastic mouth was not scary enough. The next picture shows the. We always love it when it shows the. We don't know what the is yet, but we love it when it shows the. Here it goes. Complete dinosaur robot. That's what he meant. It shows the complete dinosaur robot. Adding the new tail will more than double his length and increase the weight significantly. From head to tail, he is now about 30 inches long. Again, very impressive. Here's a front view showing the optional LED eyes and long neck. Look at that dinosaur. Look at that dinosaur. Arr. Look at that dinosaur. Would that be a Brontosaurus Rex? Maybe. All right, so this is the updated 17 DOF Dinosaurs Robots Parts List. Dang. It's more reading of parts. 16 multifunctional servo mounting brackets. 10 short U-type servo brackets. 6 long U-type servo brackets. 4 angled U-type servo brackets. 4 for a long neck. Giraffe robot. 6 flat servo brackets, 6 L-type servo brackets, 2 robot waist brackets, 1 robot chest bracket or set of 2 waist brackets, 0 foot base. Or you can make smaller ones. Gosh, I love when he tells that. 16 miniature ball radial brackets, 16 metal servo horn flanges, lots of screws and nuts, 16 MG995s. Or MG996 servos, 1 robot hand, as head includes a micro servo, Arduino Uno, and servo shields. But remember, it only has 12, so you got to do that jibbity joodad thing. Anyway, here it is, just in case I misread it, just in case. We want to make sure you got the facts. You got the facts. We need the facts, and not the fax machines. I'm not sure if they still use a lot of fax machines. They probably should in politics, but you know. So then we'd get the real facts about stuff. But anyway, for the dinosaur software, all we need to do is to add the T for tail function to the robot dog software, right? Wrong. So he says that's wrong. Don't do that. He's going to tell you what the real thing, the proper thing to do is. He says the weight of the tail messed up everything. Yeah, see. It's like we were talking about this stuff earlier, and so Robert J. Davis then told me that the tail was going to cause added weight. Look at that. I haven't read this book before, by the way. I'm just reading it for the first time with you guys. Same as this one. I went to Grandmaster Tom Wong's classes, but I never read the book. So I'm doing this stuff with you guys for the first time. But looks like I was right about a couple things. He can no longer lift his right legs because of the added weight. Yep. So to walk and turn, he had to really dig in his heels and move his tail to lift the rear legs. Also, if he wags his tail while sitting, he falls over. Isn't that great? If he leaves his tail straight while sitting, the tail touches the ground and keeps him from falling over. He now has a T for tail, but stand clear. His tail really flies, and that is at only 30 degrees per servo. It will send anything that gets in its way flying as well. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. And I was talking about this and how to improve some of these kits, right? If you're going to build a robot such as this, well, what are you going to need? You're going to need strong metal supports, most likely for the legs here. And everything above the legs here that is attached here, so the tail, the head, and possibly some of the hip and bits in here, don't necessarily have to be made out of metal. They could be made out of lighter but strong plastics, for instance. And that will avoid a lot of the stuff that happens with these kits. Again, like you might buy a kit, you put it together, and you're like, whoa, this looks amazing. And then you try to code it and get it all up and running, and it's not amazing anymore because you then realize that physics comes into play. And physics, unfortunately, unless you're Neo from the Matrix, which I wish I was Neo from the Matrix, you can't bend physics to your own will. You just can't. Some people almost manage to do it. You got some amazing technicians and people from DJI, when they created the Avata, they almost managed to bend physics and create stuff that is amazing and could avoid tumble and stuff like that. They almost bent physics. But then you put the technology in the hands of incompetent people who don't know how to fly quads. and then you get the gate. You get the Avata gate, which went on for months. It was quite entertaining. Because you put good technology in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing. And that was partially DJI's fault because they put technology in the hands of people that was amazing. Like the previous version, the potato jet, the hot potato, what is it? The FPV, DJI FPV. It was just a really, really big and hefty FPV drone that was really cool and everything. But the problem with that one was that you would fly it like a Dumbo. And it wouldn't tumble at all. You could fly it like a Dumbo. You could send it like Mavericks jets at 100 miles an hour. And then you could tell it to turn at that speed and it wouldn't tumble. And that's probably how people were using it. And that's not how you usually fly quads that have propellers pointing downwards. You can do that really well with all the drones that have the propellers pointing upwards. It does not create that weird tumble thing. And which is why probably the way to go if DJI was going to make the Avata Generation 2 is they would pretty much keep the same sort of structure for the thing, but I would have them. I'm not in charge of DJI, but if I had anything to do with it, if I was building my own competitor drone to the Avata, let's say if I was Fimi, if I were someone else, I would create something that's similar to the Avata, but I would have my props pointing upwards. That would avoid tumble for sure. With or without prop guards, if your props are pulling the air up instead of pushing downwards, pushing air downwards, that will avoid all the tumble. But anyway, so yeah, that was interesting. That got lots of clicks and views on the channel. Unfortunately, that seems to have stopped, so it's hard to get clicks and views anymore. Now, when you talk about technology, it's like 0 views. Technology. We are at the last chapter. We are almost done, guys. Almost done. If you're here for the hating, I will take $1. I will take $1 off you. If you are a hater and you love watching the show, just so you can binge watch the show and then drop me nefarious comments in the comment section, I love you too. Thank you for being here. You're probably one of the people who helps out the most with the comments and stuff. So yeah, thank you. Drop $1 in the PayPal. It's not a secret. There's 2 emails. Just pick one of the 2 emails. Whether it's Marco4HR or it's the other one, the marvimation@gmail.com. You could throw a couple of dollars my way. You won't, but you could. If you really wanted to, you could. But you won't. Or you could buy one of the ridiculous models that is spent forever to build, because it's unpopular. It's unpopular, guys. Look at this. You could have your very own WL toys, your very own WL toys, and stick a really cool RC car thingy on top of it like that. You could have a Toyari. There must be something up there somewhere that looks like a Ferrari on the CG Trader that you can 3D print and put on there. You can have a chassis. This is not a Toyota chassis, unfortunately, but the Toyari is the best thing from Top Gear these days. God, I love Top Gear is always awesome. Top Gear. Anyway, there we go. Chapter 10, Walking Hexapod Spider. Now this, guys, this is extra exciting. This is extra exciting because it's a project. It's a project that my buddy Steve has been working on for the last, I don't know, 50 years. I don't know. Eventually, we'll see it on his YouTube channel. He actually does have a YouTube channel. It's probably not live to the public yet. I don't know why. I told the guy. The best way to start a YouTube channel is to start a YouTube channel and put anything on it. And then somebody will see something. But he's a perfectionist. He wants to look as cool as what is it? Drone bots. I don't know. It's on the wall. Whenever I do a live stream, it's one of those drone bots, botworks, something. I don't know. Anyway, there's a couple of amazing channels that I've been following for a really long time, and unfortunately with the dyslexia, they have odd channel names, and unlike the other ones that I can easily say, these ones for some reason don't stick to the whatever neurons are left. It was really funny because it was yesterday. I think I was on the Eli the Computer Guy comment section, and I said something about technology and stuff, and it was quite hilarious. And then somebody trolled me. It was really funny. They were like, "Yeah, buddy. I'm not sure if it was the government or something. The government is tracking all of your brain cells," which is ridiculous and funny at the same time. So I was like, "Well, the problem is not, like." Since there's not many of those left, there's not that many neurons left, that's probably a pretty easy that's probably a pretty easy task for the government to track my neurons. The problem is, as I said before, is there's only a few of those, and only a few of those are still firing correctly. So the biggest problem is, can the government track those few that are firing correctly? Because, that's where the good data is. That's where the good data is. So that's the real thing. That's the real thing that they need to be able to track. But don't worry, I've got tinfoil hats to stop the government from tracking my brain cells. No, I don't care. Go ahead, track them. See if you can spot the ones that are actually firing correctly. I don't think they've got the technology. They don't have the technology. Their technology is not sharp and capable enough to do that. So just wait a couple of years. Anyway, I'm still waiting for that Neuralink. Hey, Elon, I'm waiting for that Neuralink. I'm also waiting to be able to get my account back on Twitter. When is that happening, Elon? Elon, come on, man. I would really like to get my account back reinstated on Twitter. I haven't broken any laws. I am not Joe Rogan. I am not, what was the other guy? I don't know. There were a bunch of guys that did a bunch of stuff, and they were kicked off of Twitter and stuff. I don't think Joe Rogan was one of them. He didn't want to be on there anymore of his own accord. That's why he jumped over to that green icon thing and does podcasts now. Anyway, squirrel, yay! First squirrel of the day. Squirrel of the day. Dangity doodas. Anyway, so one of my objectives in making the spider robot was to only use the same standard parts that were used for the previous robots. Basically, my hope was that the spider would all be made with standard parts. However, the lower legs will take 3 straight brackets each for a total of 18. No one seems to be selling just the lower legs by themselves for the spider either. I decided to make lower legs myself out of plexiglass. So I guess he was going through another one of those times where there was a crisis and a shortage of parts. We went through one of those with Eli the computer guy. We were going through that issue for a while. It was hard to find Raspberry Pi units. For some reason, it was hard to find Raspberry Pi units in bulk. I mean, you could get 1 or 2 occasionally, and they were like super expensive. Like even the cheaper ones were like over $100. That was a disaster. Now a bunch of companies are making knockoff or aftermarket or the different versions of those whatever Raspberry Pis and stuff. I'm not sure that they're very reliable, but some people are jumping on that. So I don't know. I'm not jumping on that. I like the originals from Raspberry Pi. I use mostly the Raspberry Pi 0Ws, not the zeros, because they don't have access to Wi-Fi. Raspberry Pi 3s are my favorites, are my absolute favorite, although they are bulkier. So if you want to put it on a drone to power your drone, that's probably not going to work so well, unless you plan on making it like really, really heavy. And now with all the new FAA rules and stuff, you probably won't want to do that. So you could use the Raspberry Pi 0W. So the Raspberry Pi 3s are what I usually do for gaming. Although the Raspberry Pi 0W works for that, sometimes the more render intensive games don't do so well on there. They do have the Raspberry Pi 4s, which are great, but sometimes they'll just blow out because they get too hot. So I'm not a big fan of those. I only have one. I gave one away. I gave one away to my friend Steve and stuff. I gave away a bunch of stuff to my friendlies. I gave away a bunch of 3D printers to the Irvine community people. I mean, I just suck at getting people to do stuff. That's my problem, guys. That is my problem, guys. But my biggest problem of all is getting people to throw some money at me. Hey, I will take all of your money. It can be cents. You can throw some cents at me. I am not like those gypsies. It was funny because one time, I'm not sure if it was one time or more than one time. I think I heard a story from a friend, and then one time I actually experienced this in real life. I think maybe more than once. I went to a homeless guy, or a homeless lady. I can't remember if it was a homeless. It was a long time ago, and my brain doesn't really fire up memories like it used to. So on 2 occasions, I went to somebody who was obviously either a gypsy or homeless, and I had a couple of cents and like some spare change, right? Some people will ask for spare change, and I gave it to them, and one of them just gave me a dirty look, and another one literally threw some of the stuff at me. So after that, I realized that is just not the way to go. That is just not the way to go. That is why Prop 69 is so important. Anyway, and then, yes, I think it was one of my friends said that at one point in her time, she gave a gypsy, I think it was 1,000 lira. 1,000 lira. I don't know what that was back in the day. But it was worth something. It was worth something. 1,000 lira back there was worth something to a gypsy, and the gypsy spat on her money or spat on her hand. So anyway, again, people, that's not the way to solve problems in our reality. Prop 69 is what you want to do, and the reason why Prop 69 is such a good way to call it is because it is the way that it's shaped and everything, but also it means you give something to get something. And also you take something from the annoying, right? You know who pays for Prop 69. You know who gets money taken away from Prop 69, the politicians. Those are the people going to be funding them with their paychecks. They're going to be funding Prop 69. So, hey, whether you're conservative, whether you are a blue hair, whether you are anywhere in between, you should be wanting to be able to take some money off of the politicians. No, it's unpopular. It's going to be unpopular just like this. Just like this. Just like this. Everything that I say is unpopular. Just because I say, if I say that chocolate is amazing, nobody's going to eat chocolate from tomorrow. If I say that you should wear your underwear on your head, you won't do it. Oh, anyway, to make the design for the lower legs first. Dry. I could use a Coca-Cola. Always Coca-Cola. Sexy. Anyway, to make the design for the lower legs, first I obtained pictures of them. The pictures were enhanced with edge detection that inverted to be black on white. Then they were enlarged until they matched the mounting spacing of the servos. Then they were printed out and cut out to use as a model. I settled on a simple leg design that is shown below. The leg should be enlarged. That is 9.25 inches long. Did I just say 9.20? I said, I swear to God, I swear to God. It's 6.25 inches long. What was I thinking about? 9.26. 6.25 inches long. Again, quite impressive still. This length will result in the spider being lifted ½ inch off the ground when its legs are fully retracted. You will need 6 of them. So I remember my friend Steve and I printed out something like this a while back for one of his projects. We printed out stuff like that. It looks more like a little leg, like a little wooden leg that like a pirate might use. But this is what is usually standard, comes in most kits. At first, the legs were made out of clear 1/4 inch thick plastic cut out with a jigsaw. Then the rough edges were filed off. Then they were sanded and painted black. Here's what some of the lower legs looked like when they were done. Watch this. Ain't that cool? This almost looks like a turtle right here. But that's what you're supposed to be looking at. This pointer here is telling you. This little piggy went to market. The normal spider body consists of a top and a bottom plate with holes for mounting 6 servo brackets in between them. Then some spacers are used to keep the plates the right distance apart. I also enhanced and printed out a picture of the body of the spider. That was used to get a rough idea of how to make the spider's body. After some tinkering and rearranging the parts, I found a solution. Ta-da! His thinking cap went off and a light went up. This next picture is the resulting design of the spider body that uses only standard servo brackets parts. And it's talking about, this is an 18 DOF spider robot parts list. So again, degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom, it is a super free thing. Super free robots. So free. It's got 18 multifunctional servo mounting bracket, 18 MG995 or MG996 servos, 8 short U-type servo brackets, 6 long U-type servo brackets, 4 angled U-type servo brackets, 4 flat servo brackets, L-type servo brackets, robot waist brackets, 18 miniature ball radial bearings. Metal servo horn flanges, lots of screws and nuts, but you need 18 of those, not the screws and nuts. The screws and nuts, you never know exactly how many you need. Guess. Just go to one of those stores and guesstimate how many parts you might need. Just grab a bag of parts. It's fine. Don't worry if you have to go backwards and forwards to the stores a few times until you figure out how many screws and nuts you need, but they just won't provide that information. 6 spider lower legs, optional 2 LED eyes, Arduino Uno, and servo shields. Heckity heck. So anyway, just in case I misread that, take a look at this cool thing over here. Yeah, buddy. This design very closely replicates some of the larger spider robot designs. The next part is to make the legs. Let's make those legs. Shake those legs. Go shake a leg. You will need to start in bolting 2 of the servo brackets together to make the upper leg joint. You will need to make 3 right and 3 left legs. Here is a close-up picture of a complicated left leg. The right legs are opposite in design. By the way, guys, on this channel here, where you're watching this monstrosity of a book reading, somewhere over here on this channel, I made a video a while back where I showed you guys how to assemble a robot spider like this, step by step. Yes, I did. I really did. I did a whole series on it, I think, at some point that nobody saw. That's brilliance. Yes, I did all that work. Because I thought that maybe if a couple of people saw it might help them in their adventures, in their RC or their robotics adventures. To see somebody go through every step and narrate how simple it is to put it together. You take this screw and you stick it in that hole, and then you have a bolt on the other side, and then you take a screwdriver and a hex and you put it together and you twist it, and now look at this. It's fantastic. It's a robot. It's all put together. Yeah, I did that. The leg in the last picture is shown as the servos in their 90-degree or home position. The top servo should align at 90 degrees with its bracket, In the next picture, you can see 90 degrees home positions of the top servos. Once the legs are assembled and attached, the next step is to add the Arduino and then connect the servos. There are mounting holes in the waist bracket that will align with two of the mounting holes towards the bracket of the Arduino. You will need 1/2-inch plastic spacers. Here is a picture of these 1/2-inch plastic spacers. I connected the servos to the shield. The servos are wired up in a circle around the Arduino. So the servos are wired up in a circle around the Arduino. When I first powered up the Spider, it had problems getting off the ground. Again, are you surprised? It's technology we're talking about. It's always going to have some problem somewhere. The servos were not strong enough to lift that much weight. Eventually, I replaced two of the middle servos with MG958s. With just two of these more powerful servos installed, he had no problem getting up into this standing position. Again, as I said before, guys, the biggest issue here is going to be the middle of the robot where all of the weight and batteries and everything goes. This bit in the middle here is going to be super heavy. Now, again, if all of the servos are pushing up simultaneously to lift the robot up, that's going to be the most powerful that it's going to be. But let's say you only wanted to lift one leg at a time or something, or you wanted one servo to push and lift the entire weight of that middle section of the robot, that's where you're going to have issues. And many issues there are. So in this particular case, it is anyone's guess what does what in this picture, but I will take a stab at it. Oh, there are so many servos. There's a total of 18 servos here. I wonder what goes on in my friend Steve's mind when he's gonna have to like go through the coding for all this stuff. Dang. I have yet to do an animation in 3D of a spider, and I know that would take forever because quadrupeds. That was a lot of extra hours compared to a like a biped, like a humanoid, human people. Those were pretty easy to do because you only have two legs to worry about. Quadrupeds already pretty hard. I don't even want to touch an 8-legged friend. So anyway, yeah. So it looks like here in this configuration, they have 12 would be like the hip joint. So let's say that this is the spider. Spiders usually have rotation going like this for the hip joint. And then they will have two more. So imagine this. Let's see if we can do this with a hand. So if this is the hand, you have the wrist. The wrist here is usually going to be one servo. Then you're going to have another servo, which will be the knuckles here. And then you'll have another servo here for the spider robot. So the purpose of this servo is going to be attached this way. And so it's going to do just the rotation here for the spider. And then you'll have those other two. And the other two will do this rotation and this rotation. So there you go. It is not as difficult as you may think, but it does still have a lot of work to do there. So again, if I call it a wrist, it's going to be one of those. But it's going to be hard to do because there's 8 legs, so it's going to be hard to talk about. But what you're going to see here is that the wrist rotation is going to be for all the ones that are inner there. And then the next rotation is going to be the second in the row, and then the third in the row is going to be the last bit there for that bit. So anyway, it's even if I told you and I just read it to you, it would make no sense. So just go by the picture for that one. And here is some code, some codely code for you to use. And Steve already has his code for his, which looks really cool. we may see some of that code running in the next few years, but I can't really pinpoint whether it's going to be. It could be 5 years down the line. It could be 10 years down the line. We just don't know. It's just one of those ongoing projects. I was supposed to be able to go to his house, but we've got all these live streams to do and a bunch of other things that I'm still working on that I really need to get done, and also responsibilities. So there's only certain times when he's available, because he has a real job, not me. My job is not real. I just do stuff on the interweb. I don't know. Do people still call it the interweb? So anyway, this was the end of this fantastic book here, guys. Again, if you want to buy this book, it's all over the place. I'm pretty sure that it's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure that you can buy this on a bunch of different places. I can't remember if I got it on eBay or if I got it on Amazon. I don't remember. But anyway, it's a really good book. Roger Rabbit. My teacher, David Byers Brown, worked on Roger Rabbit. Who framed Roger Rabbit? But anyway, this is Robert J. Davis II. Here's whatever other information you might want over there. You can get this book for free, as I said before. You can get this book for free if you want. But I wanted to support the master of masters, and so I bought the paper copy. Imagine that, me doing the right thing for once. Here you go. Here we go. So this is the other fun book that I have been reading to you guys for a little while. I'm going to only read a few pages because, hey, it's been 83 minutes almost. And I need to go home and see if I've got time to do that cool thing, which is real flight. Anyway, so 18th... he says there are 18 types of weapons in this picture. That's a lot of types of weapons. What's your favorite? Put it in the comments. Although Yan Chai-wan was not as fortunate as Yan Kai-san to have as much one-on-one training with Feng Xiu-ching because he had to travel to Vietnam frequently to take care of family business, he was still an excellent martial artist. Therefore, after many Chinese expatriates were victimized by Vietnamese gangsters and corrupt policemen in Vietnam, the local Chinese committees put together some money to ask Yan Chai-wan to teach the labor force Wing Chun to protect the local Chinese businessmen and their staff during one of his visits to country. As a kung fu fanatic, Yan Chai-wan was happy to help. So there's one fun thing about Asia and Sicily is their mafia is pretty good. Their mafia is pretty good. They might not call it mafia, but their history is pretty similar. Both in Italy and in Asia, the mafia is pretty strong. The mafia is strong with that one. Anyway, so I guess learning Wing Chun is a good way. It's a good way to help yourself out, to stay away from the mess that is the world. Anyway, during one of the confrontations between the Chinese expats and the local Vietnamese gangsters, both parties broke local laws and were arrested by the Vietnamese government. The corrupt policemen and the gangsters put Yan Chai-wan in a separate room and tried to beat him up. However, even though both of Yan Chai-wan's hands were handcuffed, he defeated the gangsters one after another using Loi Lim double palm. I'm sorry. You just messed with the wrong guy. What were they thinking? trying to go after a Wing Chun master. Anyway, so drawing of Yen Chai Wong's defeating multiple attackers. Look at this. It's a pretty good. It's a pretty cool drawing. I approve. As the news spreads, he became a local legend after negotiating with the police. Yen Chai Wong, agreed to instruct the elite police force for 4 years in exchange for his release. Yen Chai Wong spent the rest of his life living in Saigon and spreading Wing Chun Fu to everybody. Wing Chun Kung Fu. His successors continue to spread Wing Chun Fu through Southeast Asia, including Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia. To this day, there are many successors of Yen Chai Wong's Wing Chun legacy. In Vietnam, other South Asian countries, and Guangxi, China. Successors to the line can also be found in the Vietnamese community in Hawaii, Orange County, California today. Yes, Sir Ito's Auto Square. Look at these nice people over here. He says, in the Pick A, instructor of school Yen Chai Won's Wing Chun lineage in Hanoi, Vietnam, left Rodney, who visited their school in 2019. Now this right here, Rodney is a good pal of mine. He's got stuff on social media as well. And also, he's one of Grandmaster Tom Wong's students. I got to be in class with him. It was pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Yen Kai-san Bai Si ceremony. The relationship between Kung Fu master and a student is similar not only to a relationship between an officer and soldier, but a relationship between a father and his child. A soldier gives control of his life over to an officer during the war and obeys the officer. However, the relationship between a father and his child is closer. The father shares precious secrets with his child out of goodness and love that he would not share with strangers. Having top kung fu skill was a badge of honor, status, and pride, and a prerequisite for being a top general. As a result, it was not merely a tool for self-defense and health, but a source of political influence. However, besides being a secret that was tightly guarded and treasure that was worth more than its weight in gold, it was an immeasurable reward that was earned after putting one's heart, soul, and time into Kung Fu. An official student must go through a Bai Si acceptance ceremony as a prerequisite to becoming a successor in style. A student makes a public announcement in a local paper in order to swear a public oath of commitment, respect, and loyalty to his Kung Fu master. This traditional process also serves to clarify a student's sole commitment to his teacher and avoid conflicts of interest. The relationship between a Kung Fu master and a student is not just a momentary transaction between services buyer and seller, where one goes on their way after the transaction has been completed. Instead, it is a lifetime commitment where they give each other the utmost trust like comrades on a battlefield, which they often were. Unless a student obtained approval from his original teacher, a student did not switch teachers or accept two teachers as masters. Switching teachers or accepting two teachers as masters was rare. In this case, Yen Kai-san had to obtain approval from his first teacher, Fuk Bo Chuen, before he could accept Feng Xiuqing as his master. After Fuk Bo Chuen agreed with Yen Kai-san, sent through another Bai Si ceremony with Feng Xiu. Man, this is hard for me. Feng Xiuqing, and served both Fuk Bo Chuen and Feng Xiuqing until both of his masters passed away. Yuan Kai-san reorganized and overhauls Omei Wing Chun, a renewed focus on combat-tested techniques and applications. So Yen Kai-san learned both Omei Wing Chun and Shaolin Wing Chun. Yen Kai-san's first teacher, Fuk Bo Chuen, passed down a completed system of Omei Wing Chun to Yen Kai-san's, while Yen Kai-san's second teacher taught him more of advanced and in-depth applications of Omei Wing Chun as well as Shaolin Wing Chun forms. Yan Kai-san was a scholar and lawyer. With his aptitude for analysis and his passion for martial arts, he diligently combined through Feng Shui Qing's forms and applications while comparing them with his own fighting experience. Yan Kai-san saw the antithetical nature and technical and philosophical conflicts between Shaolin Wing Chun and Aomei Wing Chun. He often spent his time simplifying, revisiting, and separating the two philosophies for his own training references. Yan Kai-san was never interested in teaching a large group of students. To follow the principles of Taoism more closely, Yan Kai-san eliminated the Buddhist principles, 12 Shaolin long forms, and 108 movements or techniques that made up the 12 Shaolin long forms. Consequently, Yan Kai-san condensed and simplified the overly complicated Wing Chun he inherited back to its original Aomei system and took away most of the Shaolin elements from it. Yan Kai-san's revisited system had 3 basic forms. There it is. That's the little idea, or the funny idea, whatever it was. Sulim Tao. Again, you will find some of these on YouTube. They are not very good. So if you want to learn them the proper way, you probably should go to his classes. And also Rodney would be able to teach you those as well. It would be a little bit difficult to find Charles, but if you do find Charles, you should find Charles the Great. And Charles the Great is amazing at teaching this form. He was able to teach it to me, and I have issues remembering stuff, and I was able to teach it to my daughter. So that's how good Charles is. Anyway, Chum Q. There's Chum Q is another form. And then there's Bill G. Here's the other form over here. I don't remember if I went through all of those, but definitely Sulim Tao. These 3 forms, about 36 movements, were used to train and condition the body as preparation for combat. For example, Chum Q conditioned the body for kicks. Moreover, Yan Kai-san felt that reflexes and reaction times were the most essential components of Kung Fu. He also thought that the 12 San 6, the San 6 is like that, and sticky hands Chi Sao were critical Wing Chun building blocks that were necessary to create a solid Wing Chun foundation. The 12 San 6 focused on the initial engagement of combat at all ranges and included the high and low postures that were necessary to deal with kicks, punches, throws, sweeps, and grappling and anti-grappling. Meanwhile, sticky hands focused on the opponent's reaction or counter to the 12 San 6. Sticky hands practice Sum Nung, author, left in 1980. Look at this here. A glorious picture. Anyway, we're going to stop it there, guys. We're going to stop it there. He's going to start talking about his students and some cool stuff that you can find on his YouTube channel. Yes. Imagine that. Grandmaster Tom Wong has a video game, has an amazing book, and he has a YouTube channel that nobody knows about. Because everybody's checking out the other Tom Wong with the English accent and the bald head who swears all the time. That's where everybody's going. They're not going to check out Tom Wong's. They're not checking out the real Tom Wong's YouTube channel with good information on how to do martial arts. They're going to watch the fake Tom Wong on YouTube with the swearing and stuff. Anyway, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna watch from now on? I don't know. You're probably still gonna go watch the other thing. The fake Shaolin Tom Wong master. Anyway. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to go to do some real fight if there's still time. I've been talking for 94 minutes. 94 minutes. Not 94.7 the wave, just 94 cents. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. In hopefully in I don't know when it's gonna happen. I'm hoping it's gonna happen right away. But if it doesn't happen, I may be able to do it later on in the day. So hopefully I'll see you all in real flight. Thanks for 3 awesome people joining us today. Oh, lost one. Lost one. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Take care.